You want to make your Ayaka do over 200,000 damage per rotation? Well, you are at the right video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my complete Ayaka guide. In this video, I'm covering everything you need to know about Ayaka, including her kit, builds, weapons, playstyles, and so much more. So watch till the end so that you don't miss out on any crucial information that I'm going to be providing you in this video. Let's get started. Ayaka is a freeze hyper carry that relies on her teammates to group and freeze the enemies and buff her abilities so that she destroys the enemy through her elemental burst. Normal attack, she does a 5-hit strike with the sword that she wields to deal physical damage. Elemental skill, a pretty straightforward ability that deals AoE cryo damage on a 10-second cooldown and has a very decent scaling. Elemental burst, the main part of her kit and the reason why she is very broken. This skill has over like 4000 scaling. It does a lot of damage. On cast, Ayaka will release a snowstorm that will deal tons of damage along its way or to the enemy. The main way you want to use this elemental burst is through a freeze comp where the enemies are grouped up close together and are frozen, so that each and every the cutting blade and bloom damage hits the enemy. That is the only problem that you'll come across when you want to use Ayaka, but if you use proper characters like Venti or Sucrose, Kazuha and Mona, Kokomi, characters like this, if you use them, you would be able to solve the problem that you will face by using Ayaka. The main way how this burst works is that when you use your elemental burst, if there are no enemies forward in front of Ayaka, this burst will move forward up until it comes in contact with an enemy. Okay, and when it does come in contact with an enemy, it will stay put for the remaining duration or until the enemy moves. In an ideal scenario, this elemental burst will do 19 cutting blade damage hits and 1 bloom damage hit per enemy. So if you want to utilize this ability to the full potential, you have to freeze the enemies and group them so that each and every one of the cutting blade and bloom damage hits the enemy. Running Ayaka in a melt comp isn't ideal because her burst has normal ICD cooldowns, so that she can't melt on each and every hit of her burst. Apart from that, in a melt comp, the enemies keep moving here and there, which lead to a potential damage loss. Just run Ayaka in a freeze comp, okay? It is more ideal. Also, her burst will also snapshot, okay? Just keep that point in mind. This burst is on a 5-second duration with a 20-second cooldown and an 80 energy cost, making you build a little bit of energy recharge or have a battery in Ayaka's team comp so that that character can funnel particles to Ayaka. Dash. Her dash is basically the replica of Mona's dash, just cryo version. She goes underground and can move in all directions, and when she goes underground, she gains cryo infusion and applies cryo to the enemies that she comes in contact. Ascension 1 passive. After using her elemental skill, her normal attacks and charge attacks are buffed by 30% for 6 seconds. Ascension 4 passive. When you dash into an enemy, okay, and apply cryo to them, Ayaka will be able to restore 10 stamina and gain 18% cryo damage bonus for 10 seconds. So both her ascension passives are good and buffs her kit in some way or the other. As for talent priority, you mainly want to level up your elemental burst, and then your normal attack, and then your elemental skill can be left at your comfort. From someone who is using and playing Ayaka for quite some time now, trust me when I say this, is that Ayaka is literally worth each and every primogem you spend on her. Well, in this section, I'm going to teach you how to utilize her kit properly and bring out her full potential. Her dash is quite a useful ability for the infusion as well as dash cancelling. So the main way you want to play Ayaka is first set up your supports. Okay, first set up your supports before doing her elemental burst, so that all the enemies are grouped up and are frozen. That is important. Okay, after you set up your supports, you need to do her elemental burst. Okay, elemental burst into an elemental skill, and then 2 normal attacks into a charge attack, and then dash cancel, and repeat that cycle, the normal attack charge attack cycle, and then weave in the elemental skill when it is not on cooldown. Now the supports will be to freeze the enemies, okay, and group them. The burst will do the damage, and when you use your skill, you will be able to proc the Ascension 1 so that her normal attacks and charge attacks get buff, and then dash cancel. Okay, so dash cancelling would give her the cryo damage bonus and apply cryo. And if you don't have the cryo infusion before the 2 normal attacks, do a dash over there as well. Okay, her charge attacks animations are quite long, so that you have to do a dash cancel. Okay, and the 2 normal attacks are so that you can manage her stamina properly. Artifacts. Well, to build Ayaka, it is very straightforward. You need one and only one artifact set on her. That is the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer. Okay, Blizzard Strayer is the most broken set in the entire game for cryo characters that work in a frozen comp. The 2-piece will give you cryo damage bonus, which is good. Okay, and the 4-piece will give you 40% crit rate. Okay, 40% crit rate, 20% against the enemies affected by cryo, and 20% if they are frozen. Okay, so 40% crit rate is nothing to laugh at, and it is equivalent to 80% crit damage. For some reason, if you don't have the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer, okay, you can go for 2-piece Blizzard Strayer with a 2-piece Noblesse or 2-piece Glad or Shimenawa, but it is recommended that you go for a 4-piece Blizzard Strayer. Just try to farm that domain. With the 3.0 update, the Blizzard Strayer artifact set got added to the strong box, so you can utilize that as well if you want to get a full set. For the main stats on your artifact pieces, the timepiece would be attack percent, cryo damage bonus goblet, and crit damage circlet. For the substats, you mainly want to aim for crit, attack, and energy recharge. Now I said crit damage circlet because, see, listen, you gain 5% crit rate from her Ascension, okay, 40% from the 4-piece set, and 30% from the artifact stats, and 15% from the resonance. So it is mainly around like 90% crit rate. So try to aim for a crit damage circlet, and if you don't have a crit damage circlet, go for a crit rate circlet. Both will work fine. Let us talk about the energy recharge problems that she will have. 130 to 140 energy recharge is actually the safe zone for Ayaka. In her comp, there'll be someone like a Diona, Rosaria, Kaya, characters like that can funnel her particles. Okay, so 130 to 140 is a safe zone. Again, it may be higher or lower for the characters that you run along with Ayaka, and if they have any Favonius weapons. Now, for the recommended stats for Ayaka, try to aim for around 1.8k to 2.2k attack, 40 to 45 crit rate, okay, and over 200% crit damage. The energy recharge, like I said, 130 to 140 will be a safe zone. Artifact sets, Blizzard Strayer, force it, okay, try to force it. Weapons. Ayaka has a surprisingly a very large roster of weapons that are both free-to-play friendly and are whale friendly. Okay, there are 3-star, 4-star, 5-star weapon choices for Ayaka. For the 3-star weapon choices, we have Harbinger of Dawn, a very free-to-play friendly weapon, and it gives you crit rate as well as crit damage. But for the low base attack, you would need tons of attack on your artifact stats. For the 4 stars, we have one very broken weapon, that is the AMENOMA KAGEUCHI. It is like her best in slot 4-star weapon for free-to-play players. It gives you energy through the passive and just a raw attack. And if you have the Black Cliff level up for some reason, you can use that as well. Okay, it will give you the crit damage, but the passive is not quite useful. And if you are a battle pass player and have the Black Sword ready, you can give that as well. Okay, it will give you crit rate. It is a great option. Flute is another option that you can run on Ayaka, but it is not that recommended. Same goes for the Ashen Sword that you get from Kazuha's story quest. Both of them will just give you some raw attack. The 5-star weapon choices would include the MISTSPLITTER Reforged, her best in slot. It gives you crit damage and tons of elemental damage bonus through the passive. Summit Shaper is another example for raw attack. Okay, you can run that if you want some raw attack. Jade Cutter is a usable weapon. Okay, it is actually good, but then that crit rate that the Jade Cutter provides get wasted on a character like Ayaka that doesn't need that much crit rate. The other weapon would be the Haran Gepaku for the crit rate and the nice passive that it has. Okay, the elemental damage bonus and all that. The Light of Volker Incision is another weapon if you want tons and tons of crit damage. Okay, and it will give you a little bit of crit rate through its passive, but the passive can't be utilized effectively with Ayaka. So you have to keep that in mind. Light of Volker Incision will give you tons of crit damage for Ayaka, but you cannot utilize the passive properly. Constellations. Now at C0 she will literally destroy the Abyss and the entire game. So you must not need any constellation for her to shine. Okay, and at C0 she is just a perfect character to have. But if you are a whale and need some constellations for Ayaka, sure, I'll discuss what constellations Ayaka has. Constellation 1. It has a 50% chance to reduce the cooldown on her elemental skill when her normal attack and charge attack deals cryo damage, and the amount that is gonna get reduced is 0.3 seconds, and this effect can be triggered once every 0.1 second. Constellation 2. It will create 2 mini bursts along with your main burst on either side that will do 20% of its original damage. It is a good source for damage, okay, and it covers a little more AoE now. Okay, if you unlock the Constellation 2. Constellation 3 would be a +3 levels for your elemental burst. Constellation 4, it is a good constellation. Okay, whenever the opponent gets damaged by her burst, they will have their defense reduced by 30% for 6 seconds. This is a good constellation, okay, and it could improve the damage output of her elemental burst. Constellation 5. It is a +3 levels for your elemental skill. Constellation 6. It is not the best Constellation 6 in my opinion, as it would increase her charge attack damage by a certain amount every 10 seconds. It is not the best constellation to have. Her Constellation 2 or even her Constellation 4 are good constellations. For a early stopper, Constellation 2 is a good option. Team comps. Now, throughout this video, I mentioned that Ayaka is a freeze hyper carry, okay? And the comps that she shines in is a freeze comp. Okay, Ayaka is literally a character that can shine in a freeze team comp. So if you want to maximize her damage, you have to play a freeze Ayaka. Okay, now the skeleton team comp for Ayaka would be a first Ayaka, and then a Hydra support, and then a CC or a crowd controlling character, and then another cryo support or battery. And one example and the most broken team comp in the game for Ayaka is a Ayaka Shenhe Kokomi Kazuha comp. Of course, these consist of 5-star and are very expensive. It is one of the best comps in the entire game for Ayaka. Okay, it is a freeze Ayaka. She can utilize each and every buffs that she gains and do maximum damage output. Now, if you don't have Shenhe, okay, you can even run a Rosaria, okay. She will provide you with crit rate, a Diona for shielding, healing, and as a battery, a Kaya as a sub DPS, and Ganyu as well. Ganyu is more of a offensive character than a support, so keep that in mind. Okay, you can run those characters as well. Now, as for Kokomi, Kokomi will run the Twilling Trails of the Dragon Slayer and the Millilith set. Okay, she will buff the attack of Ayaka and freeze the enemy, so she is a good option to run. If you don't have a Kokomi, you can even run a Mona. She is a good support. She will freeze and increase the damage output of Ayaka. And for more free-to-play kind of option would be a Barbara, although she would apply cryo at a slower rate, but you can run Barbara as well. Now, if you have Ayato and Ayaka, well, they work very good with each other in my opinion, and through testing I believe they do work, as Ayato's burst is enough for the enemies to be frozen. Kazuha, okay, Kazuha will give you the Verdicent Shred, the elemental damage bonus, and crowd controlling that Ayaka would need. Okay, if you don't have Kazuha, no worries, you can even run a Venti or a Sucrose. Okay, both of them are good. This comp is quite expensive, so if you have the characters, well, you should run Ayaka with all the characters that I mentioned. If not, I did say all the replacement for each and every character, so yeah, you have one of the best comps at your disposal if you want to destroy the abyss. The second comp where Ayaka can shine a little less, but she'll do good, is a Mono Cryo comp. Mono Cryo comp would have a Ayaka with 2 cryo supports and then a Animo support. Okay, the cryo character can be like Shenhe, Rosaria, Diona, Kaya, Ganyu, stuff like that. Okay, Animo supports like again Kazuha, Sucrose, Venti. Those two were the comps. Okay, those two are like the main comps where Ayaka can shine. There are other different comps that are either very niche or doesn't bring out Ayaka's potential. Well, that is all for this video, hoping that this guide was helpful and informative to all of the Ayaka wanters and Ayaka havers. If yes, and if you found this guide helpful, liking and subbing to the channel is greatly appreciated. If you need any help with your account or have any queries in general regarding Ayaka or any other character, try to leave them in the comments or just join my Discord. Link will be in the description and I would help you out. I also have a Shenhe guide out as well, so if you pulled for Shenhe and not Ayaka, go watch that video. Link would be in the description like usual. Well, that's all for this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Eat your snacks and bye bye.